Hey there, guys. Alright, today we are back with some more overly sarcastic productions, and this time we are returning to History Hijinks, the worst Venetian ever. Um, as I have said in the previous few videos, and will likely continue to say for a little bit now, this reaction is probably going to be less than, just less, just not to the standard that I try to keep to, because of what has recently happened over here. I do apologize for that. Um, so if you want to watch something that I consider a good reaction from me, I'll point you in the direction of my trope talk videos, or really any of my videos that are like over 40 minutes long. I think are pretty good. Um, 40 minutes long and have been released in the last probably like 40 minutes long in any fucking time period. Um, Now, the worst Venetian ever, you already know. You've watched my videos before regarding Constantinople and the Fourth Crusade in particular. You know that I have immense hatred for the Doge of Venice during the Fourth Crusade time period. I forget his name though. So he's my he's who I believe to be the worst Venetian ever. But we'll see what Blue says. Let's dive in.
I promise there's a very good reason I'm talking about Venice today, because regular viewers of OSP may remember a few months back when I said, Venisa! Oh no! Wait, no, wrong clip. Now, as penance for my callous blunder, I promise you won't hear a peep out of me about Venice until I learn enough to write a book on it. Yet, here I am running my cartoon mouth about my favorite lagoon town. But I, dear viewers, am a man of my word. Many words, in fact, because ya boy wrote a book. Friends, viewers, people who clicked on this video just because they like Venice, I present to you the Venetsia,
Oh,
a
this was his
historical epic
announcement
poem
video.
written in the style of the Iliad, Odyssey, and Aeneid, set in medieval Venice just on the eve of the Renaissance. The year is 1379 in the midst of a frightful war with Genoa, who's blockaded Venice inside its very own lagoon to starve it out and destroy it. In the face of potential calamity, our story follows the seafaring journey of a Venetian merchant and his two children as they race home from distant seas to save their beloved city. Can they make it in time? I don't know, read it and find out, because the Venetsia will launch as a crowdfunding campaign on Kickstarter June 4th. If you're watching before then, you can click the link below to visit the page and sign up to get notified when it launches. And if you're watching after that, then, well, book's live, go grab it! I'm thrilled to say the Venetsia is published by Wraithmarked, makers of the absolute fanciest books the indie world has ever seen. So we're talking deluxe materials, painted edges, gorgeous art,
Wraithmark do produce some sexy ass books.
and interior design, all in a cohesive Venetian theme to make this book a treasure you can read and display proudly. More news to come in the next few weeks, including artwork, more story details, stretch goals, and all kinds of cool stuff. But for now, let me say thank you, because without all of your support for OSP, a project like this would never be possible. So stay tuned, I really think you're gonna like this. Now let's do some history. With all that so eloquently put, allow me to spend the rest of this video gushing about how the Venetian Republic is the best republic. See, there are two main ways to judge the quality of a system of governance. You can eyeball it by simply counting how long it lasted, but perhaps the best metric is how well it handled the intrusion of somebody who tried to exploit the system for their own ends, like how a monarchy
True.
naturally becomes an absolute nightmare as
That's a very valid ranking system there for governments.
soon as some jerk becomes the tyrant du jour, because by its very nature it contains zero internal checks or balances to thwart their iron-fisted shenanigans. Government is already a very hard thing to get right, and ambitious plotters can topple even the proudest republics. Now, having spent many years studying up on various governments in world history, from the ancient world to the present day, I've seen my fair share of certified disaster engines as well as some genuinely clever systems, so I can say with professional confidence that the Venetian Republic is absolutely fucking brilliant, and I am all too happy to explain why. Based in the beautiful canal-crossed city of Venice, this government ran continuously from the 700s AD through 1797 with no interruption, no getting conquered, no civil wars, not even a succession crisis. 1,000 straight years with nary a peep of everything falling apart. If I didn't know any better, I'd question whether they were actually Mediterraneans. But all this is just more proof that Venice was among the best statecrafters to ever play the game, winning on hard mode by making a government that could survive time and themselves. And no story illustrates that better than the tale of Marin Falier, the worst
Okay, it is not the person that I believed to be the worst Venetian ever.
Worst Venetian ever. But first, we have to zoom out and ask what made little old Vembus so special. Well, gosh, how much time do you have? No. Focus, Blue, focus. See, like basically every other republic of the day, the Venetian government was an aristocracy, staffed by a set list of noble families, most of whom also worked as merchants. What set their system apart was an elegant web of checks and balances between multiple branches, the Grand Council, the leading duke or doge, and the various smaller sub-councils in between. With powers so widely distributed, no one player had the means to go rogue, and when everyone in government had a stake in the smooth flow of trade, everybody's incentive was aligned on making Venice make money, so faction politics were less appealing than keeping the state running smoothly. Stable government guaranteed stable business. The madmen weaponized capitalism for the good of the Republic. Madai, that's allowed? This is what I mean! Geniuses! But without a doubt, their weirdest quirk was the ludicrously convoluted way they elected a new doge, a process that began with going into St. Mark's Basilica to find a child who then used the medieval equivalent of a bingo ball machine, I wish I was joking, to pick 30 members of the Grand Council as electors. This was the first of 5 fully randomized steps.
Electing a doge. Okay, that kind of meme. Alright, start with 30 random electors, cut down to 9 who vote for 40.
As the 30 were cut by lottery to 9. Thus begins the voting stages, approving 40 new electors by majority votes of 7 out of 9, and they did this 7 more times, randomizing down to 12. They then voted for 25, cut to 9, picked 45, cut to 11, and picked 41, then and only then actually voting for a goddamn doge, nominating
I don't understand. It doesn't make sense to my brain.
candidates among themselves and needing 25 out of 41 votes to actually elect the man. And we thought the Pope's election was complicated? No. Compared to this, the papal conclave is just brunch with a gimmicky campfire. Venetian elections were so notoriously complicated, people printed infographics to explain it. This system was convoluted, extremely time-consuming, and perfect. See, a system this randomized, layered, and reliant on overwhelming voting majorities made it impossible to coordinate as a faction to sway the result. This process rarely produced a truly outstanding doge, but it always succeeded in its actual goal, picking the most agreeable, perfectly unproblematic doge that would calmly do their job and not make a mess. That is, every time except once. In 1354, Marin Falier was elected doge via the ceremonial bingo for babies after a distinguished career in public service. He'd served for decades on the Council of Ten, the Republic's Security Council created in 1310 after a failed coup specifically to snuff out future conspiracies. Falier's first job in 1315 was literally overseeing treason punishments. Jot that down because the Council of Ten is a useful tool that'll help us later. But in the meantime...
irony. Love it.
Falier governed 3 different cities, commanded a fleet in the Black Sea, and was ambassador to the Pope in Avignon, because lest we forget, the Pope was casually in France for a century there. Pope fights, wild stuff. However, Signor Falier was known for taking offense easily and throwing hands hard, personally slapping a bishop who was late to a parade. But as Falier donned the goofy hat and became the doge, he embarked on a rapid and shining arc to become supreme villain of the Republic and the single worst Venetian ever, so his story got a little embellished after the fact to match his reputation, starting with tales of an impossibly dense fog blanketing the city for days before his ceremonial arrival, and the doomed omen of him entering between the 2 grand columns which marked where the city held executions. Clearly, one of the historians appreciated some good foreshadowing. As doge, his first order of business was feuding with an aristocrat who flirted with his wife at a banquet, then getting furious with the Republic for barely punishing the man. Whether or not this had any bearing on the actual plot, Falier decided within months of becoming doge that the Republic had it too good for too long, and these snooty aristocrats would get their comeuppance. Everything you expect from a cartoon villain monologue. He conspired with some local mooks, and their evil scheme was to corral the nobles into St. Mark's Square and kill them all, before acclaiming Marin Falier as Prince of Venice. Oh, my delicate Republic-loving sensibilities, just saying that is disgusting. Now, the timing of this was odd, because the man was already the most powerful guy in the state and 80 years old, so he didn't have all that much to get.
Yeah, old people don't make sense. Like, why are you so hell-bent on pursuing power? You're not gonna get anything out. Like, what do you get out of being 80 years old and maintaining power? You don't get anything. Nothing. Like, especially when you're a person that has enjoyed a position of power for so long, like, you can retire cozily.
gain from the plot. Either he had his sights on a dynasty, or was truly that malicious that he wanted the Republic and its lawmakers dead. As quite an escalation from slapping that bishop, this would have been the bloodiest, most ruinous plot against the Republic and Venice itself it had ever seen. But luckily, conspirators get yappy, so word of the plan got out beforehand. Someone heard a tip to stay off the streets on April 15th and dutifully took the news to the Doge, who presumably reacted with, "Oh no, oh that'd be the worst. Oh man, dang, that's crazy, man." Anyway, don't worry about it, we'll take care of it. But word independently reached the Council of Ten, whose express purpose was preventing conspiracies. Behold, the surprise tool. It's helping us later. They diligently investigated and found Falir was in on it, so they mustered their own forces and made arrests, including Falir's family members, fellow conspirators, and even Filippo Calendario, the architect behind the extremely famous south wing of the Doge's palace. Props to the man for an invaluable contribution to Venetian heritage, but my question is why on earth the architect gets in on a plot to overthrow the state? Like, my guy, you're literally conspiring to kill your clientele. I know, separate the art from the artist, but holy hell, Filippo, what were you thinking? What really sells this story for me is how Marin Falir worked on the same government body that foiled him for 2 decades, and the fact that he, of literally all people, should have known better is the best evidence we have that this guy wasn't a genius schemer, but a spiteful, stupid man. This dumbass treason weasel thought he was destroying the Republic like Palpatine.
Treason weasel.
Man, get the fuck out of here. Don't embarrass yourself. In the official records, the Council of Ten replaced Falir's name with non scribatur, not to be written. A decade later, when the Great Council had new frescoes of the Doges painted along the council chamber's walls, his space was covered by a black cloth and the inscription, Hic est locus marini faletro, decapitati pro criminibus. Here is the place of Marin Falir, beheaded for crimes. So, what does this story offer us? Well, besides endless comedy at Treason Boy's expense, it's an object lesson in why Venice worked so darn well. The Republic was precision engineered for consistency and effective teamwork, and the one time the bingo ball failed them and they botched an election, the state had the means to stop him, specifically because Venice created the Council of Ten after the last time someone was dumb enough to throw a coup. There's a delicate balance of consistency with...
Yeah, but also sounds like they kind of got lucky that someone told them. Like, if they hadn't been told, then would they then have had the means to actually stop the coup? That's the question that is left in the air.
Tradition and adaptation to circumstance that set Venice apart from its neighbors. Venetian history is a millennium-long story of people working extremely hard across generations to preserve something they knew was valuable. Venice is not a flawless fave, just ask the Byzantines, and the Republic was inherently sexist and classist. They are, however, an example well worth learning from. Electoral College, get out of here. It's Little League bingo time. Let's go.
Electoral College.
Thank you for watching.
And I used to be an Electoral College supporter. I really fucking hate it nowadays. Anyway, but that's something for like a different video. But anyways, that was History Hijinks, the worst Venetian ever. I mean, I guess in a way, depending on how we want to look at the wording of the worst Venetian ever, I can see this being, you know, I can see why he would be given this title, because he was essentially going against what, in a way, made a Venetian, sort of. So, yeah, this was a good video. Not Blue's best, but, you know, still pretty good. I hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe for more, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.